Hello, my name is Eddie Green. I'll be discussing partitioning. Under partitioning, for OpenSUSE, you're preparing the hard disk to be partitioned. You have two options that will display on the screen. The option one, which will actually, the hardware or the software will select and automatically partition the drive for you, or you can do custom partitioning. What is partition? Partition is a means to divide a single hard drive into many logical drives. That means that you're taking 50 gigabit hard drive and you can break it up into 10 gigabit sections or other variations of that. Partition is a contiguous set of blocks on a drive that are treated as independent disks. Like I said before, you're taking that whole hard disk and you're breaking it up into smaller sections that you can utilize for whatever different partitions that you want to put in. Our partition table is an index that relates sections of the hard drive to partitions. Why have multiple partitions? One, encapsulation of your data. Since file system corruption is local to a partition, you stand to lose only some of your data if an incident occurs. That means that if you have a 250 gig hard drive and the whole thing is one big large partition, if something goes wrong, then you stand to lose that whole hard drive. But if you have it broken down into smaller pieces, 10 gigabit portions, and if you only lose one, then you don't have to worry about that one that you lost, not the entire hard drive or hard disk itself. 2, increase disk space efficiency. You format the partition into dependent on the size of information that you're going to be putting in that particular partition. That means you're not wasting the space as you go along doing a partition. 3, limit growth data. Runaway processes can consume so much hard disk space that operating system no longer has room on the hard drive for its bookkeeping operations. By segregating space, you ensure that things other than operating systems die when you allocate space is exhausted. A primary partition consists of contiguous ranges of cylinders. That's the physical disk area assigned to a particular operating system. If you use only primary partition, you're limited to 4 partitions per hard disk. And that's just the way, that's one of the rules for Linux partition. The partition table can only hold 4 primary partitions. Way of getting around that is having extended partitions, which are continuous range of disk cylinders but can be subdivided into logical partitions. Logical partitions do not require entries in the main partition table. An extended partition is a container for logical partitioning. And one of the big things you're going to also hear about in partition is journaling. Journaling is a file system function that keeps track of information that needs to be written to the hard drive in the journal. Partition types. And when I say partition types, we're speaking about the file system itself. There are several different types of partition types or file system types that you have in Linux. ext2, ext3, and ext4. Most of the systems, because of today, now use ext4, which is a successor for the other ones, and it does offer a journaling feature. Some of the older type file systems, FAT, which if you want to create a data partition which is accessible from Windows and Linux, then you can do that. But one thing you need to note is do not create a root partition if you're using FAT. basic Linux partition. A Linux server requires at least 2 partitions. It's minimal. Swap partition is a partition used by Linux to move unused data from the main memory to the hard drive. Moving unused data from the main memory to the hard drive helps the performance of the system. And a root partition. This is a partition for the operating system itself and is mounted under the // in the install system.